Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, along with my wonderful wife, Janet, and we are streaming live from the Moses Lake Professional Pharmacy Studio today. And we are super excited to have Jan McDonald on. She is going to be discussing John Maxwell Motivational Training. She will tell you all about the details of that. He is a best-selling author, popular with leadership type groups and books, so you don't want to miss out for this episode. We're going to really relate it to health, because when you think about health and wellness type stuff, whether it be exercise or whether it be eating right, it's all about motivation. It's all about what we think in our minds. So that's what Jan is going to help us with today. I'm just super excited to have her on. So, Jan, welcome to our show.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate being here so much.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about John Maxwell and how you first heard about him, and then what you do now.
I've been reading John Maxwell books for a long time. In 2014 or 15, that's the first time I met him. I met him in 2015, and I was wondering what to do with my life. I was the CEO of very successful faith-based pregnancy medical centers and was just getting a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I was just getting a little restless, and I knew God had something more for me. I just didn't know what it was. And so on my Facebook page popped up the John Maxwell team certification. So I kind of clicked into that, and I got a call from them. I asked them to call me, and I ended up going down and getting certified, and that's when I first met him. And at that international Maxwell certification in 2015, I was certified to become an international coach and a leadership consultant. And I just knew that that was exactly what I needed to do with my life from whenever God cut me loose from the CEO job that I was in. So I've been doing it now full time. Well, as full time as I want it. Since 2018, I was able to meet John and all the staff and all the faculty that go with that certification. And now there's 40,000 international Maxwell certified coaches around the world.
Wow.
So yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Now, this seems like quite a life change. We were talking about a little bit before the show. People seem to get in a rut. Maybe, I mean, I'm 51 years old, and I know there's people my age that think, well, my career is pretty much over. But you shared with us your age, and go ahead and tell the audience what your age is and when you decided to make a career change.
I'll be 70. I will be 70 in July of this year. And when I was 62, I had my 62nd birthday, and my board members from where I was the CEO say, "So are you going to retire?" I'm like, that's not even on my radar screen. I mean, I have so much energy. Retire? What? So I wasn't even thinking of that. So 66 was when I jumped out into my new career. Yeah.
Wow,
Total,
that's awesome. That's inspiring.
yeah, 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 it is. And Shawn, we go way back. I can't remember when I first started using Moses like compounding pharmacy. I mean, it's been forever.
I mean, maybe 20 years. I'm at least 15 probably, and thank you for that.
Yes, and you've been helping me, with COVID, getting over that with the D3, and I mean, that's been a life changer. Well, my husband, he's really hard to talk into, massive vitamins, but he's taking the D3, and he just thinks it's doing wonders for that brain fog. Yeah. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Janet, what questions do you have for Jan?
So we've known for a long time, Jan, on the medical side that we have things called placebo effects that, if we believe something is going to work for us, then therefore it will. And if we believe in a certain thing, then, we kind of go down those paths. And so motivation is really important, I think, from the standpoint of healthcare, from believing that we can get better, that there is healing, that there is another side to the coin besides, going through something. So, how would you approach someone today in our mindset of the last couple of years on getting out of their rut and making a healthier change for their lifestyle and overall health?
That's a big one. So I'm teaching a class right now called Self-Image Mastery. And let me just give you an example. I want you to think about something really, really sad right now. I mean, think about something really sad, like, I don't know, maybe you had a puppy that died, or, well, no, let's not go into Ukraine. But think of something really, really sad. And how does that make you feel inside? And then think of something now really, really happy, something that really brings you joy. And how does that make you feel inside? Okay. So I believe that where your focus goes, there your energy flows. And so if I'm focusing on, oh my gosh, this is going to be so awful, and I believe this is going to be bad, that's what you're going to get. It's all back to that law of attraction thing. But if you think this is going to be not a big deal, it's going to be really fun, you're going to have a great time, that's what you're going to get. So if you believe as a person, if I believe that, okay, I'm 70, oh man, I'm kind of old right now, and most 70-year-olds, that's what I'm going to get. So we don't get motivated by thinking about it. We get motivated by doing. That's when the motivation comes, is within the doing. And I'll give you a story. I was training a lady who was, I think she was 68 at the time, and she was very weak. And so I was going into her house and teaching her how to lift weights, just from her home. And we did this for 2 years, and she had her 70th birthday. And I went over to her house and she said, I'm just going to stop right now. And I was like, why are you going to stop? You've gotten so much of your health, so much of your strength back. You can walk through the zoo with your whole family, and you weren't able to walk through the zoo before. And she said, well, I'm 70. I've had a really good life, and my friends think what I'm doing is silly. So she dropped it. She was making huge strides. She could walk further. She was so excited because she could shop forever. And that was one of the things that she loved to do. But she just the mindset shifted when she hit 70. It was like 70 was, okay, you're done. So did that answer the question like in a roundabout way?
Yeah, it doesn't. So I just want to speak to that so what's the motivation behind her friends saying that she's wasting her time? Were her friends her same age?
Yeah. I think what happens is well-meaning people make remarks all through our lives, and they don't realize that these remarks really can impact us if we're not strong enough in our self-image. And so when they made those remarks about how stupid that was, she couldn't stand up to that, or she didn't want to stand up to that, or she didn't believe she could stand up to that. And so I don't know. I think that's what happens.
That's
Wow.
a very good point, because I think sometimes we don't realize how we feed into other people's lives in negative ways. And sometimes we have to learn to decipher what is a good thing, or maybe motivate us. Maybe, hey, I think maybe she didn't have the strength, but she could have flipped it and said, why don't you join me? Why don't you
Right.
see why this is so good? So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's two
Yeah.
sides to that one too.
Yeah. And like it all starts up here.
Yeah.
True.
It
Well,
all
and just
starts.
like
Go
yeah,
ahead.
well, just like you were saying too, with we are. It's going to be how we think, and I know there are people that they literally get out of bed in the morning, and they think it's going to be a horrible day, and you know what I tell them? You're right. If
Mm-hmm.
you think it's going to be a horrible day, you are right. It's going to be a horrible day. But if you get up and say this is going to be a great day, then you're also right. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to just learn to train yourself that to be optimistic and to be positive.
Yeah. John Maxwell has the third law of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership is called the law of magnetism. And it's kind of like the law of kind of like the law of attraction, but it's his version of it. So when I used to do this teaching in the school with healthy relationships for the kids, we would ask them teenagers, we would ask them what they wanted in their future mate or their future long-term relationship. And they would always say, well, we want somebody to be hardworking. We want somebody to be honest and respectful. And then, the girls would always say, we want some guy with a six-pack. And then the guys would say, she's got to be able to cook, those kind of things. And so we would ask them, so how do you think you could find a person with these characteristics? And one time I got Match.com. That wasn't the answer I wanted, but it was a good answer. And they weren't sure. And I said, you become that person. And when you become that person, that's the kind of people that you attract. And so it's just what you said. If you're thinking you're going to have a crummy day, that's exactly what you're going to get in your life. So who you are is who you attract into your life. And if you're 70 or 40 or 50, however old, who do you want to attract in your life? Then that's who you need to become.
Yeah, we often talk about that on our podcast, and we call it proximity principle. It's nothing original that we made up. It's actually Ken Coleman, who is with the Dave Ramsey group, and he wrote a book about it called Proximity Principle. And it's just like we should hang around people that we want to become. And if I think typically I see when you see negative people. I mean, I don't hang around a lot of negative people, so I don't traditionally see a lot of that, but you see a lot when you do see those people. There's a lot of negativity around them with their group that they're hanging around too. They're not usually optimistic people, so we try to stay away from those people.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked earlier about so I just had this thought I wanted to share. So my background is drugs and alcohol, and I've recovered from that for over 30 years now. But I had a lot of things that I needed to change. And one of the things that I see a lot, I have a lot of people on my Twitter feed that are in recovery or trying to be in recovery. And their thought process is, oh, I want to drink. I want to drink. Wait. What you focus on grows. What you focus on grows. So you shouldn't be focusing on what you don't want. You should be focusing on who you want to become. And I always say that. I always ask them, is that who you want to become, a drinker, or do you want to become a sober person? I think this all goes with motivation. So if we're thinking about Lifesaver gummies, those used to be my drug of choice. Oceans and rivers of Lifesaver gummies. But if I keep thinking about those, it's like even the garden. Look at all the stuff that she had, all the fabulous stuff that she had. And she focused on the one thing she couldn't have. And so what happened? She ate. And so I think when I'm tempted to do something that's not going to make me healthy, like eat a bag, a big bag of Lifesaver gummies, I need to stop thinking about that and think about who I want to become. Am I the person who likes healthy food and sugar is my enemy? That's one of my affirmations, So to overcome bad healthy habits, you need to think about who you want to become rather than what you don't want to do. And that's what you get.
So it's kind of hard to flip that switch sometimes, I think, for individuals. They're so used to that brain neurotransmitter switch that keeps going down that path. So how do we as individuals say, I'm recognizing I'm going down that rabbit hole?
Okay, so this is going to be in my class this Thursday night. We have the ability to choose what we think and our reaction or our response. So between the amygdala and the neocortex, okay, the amygdala is the place in the brain that stores all the memories, that stores, okay, you got bit by a dog, so you need to be careful around dogs. That's what the amygdala does. And it tells the neocortex what to do. So between stimulus and response, between the amygdala and the neocortex, there is a 1/4 second lag time. Now that doesn't seem like much, but do you know how many thoughts go through your head during the day? Yes. Like 60,000 thoughts. They just random go back. Okay, so you have a 1/4 second lag time to take that thought captive and choose how you're going to react. I just think that's the most amazing thing God did to our brains. So we don't have to react the way we've always reacted. We can choose a new response. Is it hard? Yeah, but we can practice and hold that image of who we want to become. And when we hold that image, that's how you speak to your self-image. Your subconscious is through pictures. And when you hold that image, it makes it easier than rather to focus on the thing that you don't want. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Because when I think about, I've told this story before. I had a girlfriend who fell through a glass shower door when she was in the 5th grade, I believe. And, they told her, you're not going to walk again and all this. And Susie was kind of the person that said, just watch me. She never saw herself any other way.
Mm-hmm.
It was not part of the vision she had. So
Right.
when people said things to her, she was just like, no, just watch me. No, that's not it, And I think that really resonates with me, that is what you're saying, is that, she never let that vision of not being able to walk or run or, do the things that she wanted to do, hold
Yeah.
her back. She just never was held back. And, maybe that was part of, her parenting or the individual that she is. But, it's always kind of fascinating to me because you have people that once something happens to them like that, it's just over, game over. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. So, do you know Nick Voicek?
I do not.
Okay, you need to Google. Everybody needs to Google him. Nick Voicek was born without limbs. And
I
he is the most amazing motivational speaker. He travels the world. He's impacted millions and millions of people. And that didn't hold him back
Right.
because of what he believed he could do. And so how we change that is, if we can't visualize who we want to become, or this is what I've coached people to do, is to write what you want to become. And so I told you about my affirmation was, I'm a person who eats healthy foods, and sugar is my energy. And why do I say that? Because it is my energy. No,
yeah.
it's my
Right. It's true.
enemy. It's my enemy. And so I worked on changing this, because whenever I would get stuck anywhere, I would go right for something chewy and sugary. And so I kept saying this, and saying this. And then one time I was stuck in my office and I had a deadline, and I was having writer's block, and I knew there were Jelly Bellies in the multipurpose room. So I headed there, stuck my hand in there, and my brain was like, wait a minute, that's not who you are. You're a person who likes only healthy foods. Sugar is your enemy. And my hand came out empty. So it'll work. It starts to work, but you have to put the work in to change your mindset.
Well, and once you do that one time, then you realize how powerful that is. So it's probably maybe not easier the next time to avoid even walking into the building with the jelly bellies in it.
Yeah, I was so excited about that yeah, that started my change of my relationship with, any kind of sugary stuff like that. And since then, I don't have that much of a occasionally, but I'll take that thought captive, and nope, that's not who I am. Yeah.
It sounds like you've learned to kind of even celebrate the fact that, hey, I don't need that. That's
Oh,
not something I need.
I teach everybody to celebrate all wins, no matter how small. Go in the bathroom and high five yourself if there's nobody to jump around and happy dance with you.
Right.
The teeniest tiny ones, like, you probably work with people who really want to change their health. And if they take their vitamins 5 days in a row, man, they need to be celebrating that, because that's a habit that they need to get into.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jan, tell us, you kind of, after you did the John Maxwell training, you kind of wanted to focus in a certain area. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I well, at first you just don't know where your niche is. You just kind of, anybody who can fog a mirror, man, you're serving. And so I found myself coming out of ministry. I found myself doing a lot of secular workshops. I love that. I mean, I really love that. But my goal, and this started to be my desire when I first sobered up, because when I first sobered up, I was so excited about what God was doing in my life. I just wanted everybody to feel that way. And so I would go into churches and I would see people who had the power of the Holy Spirit within, but they somehow weren't tapping into that. They still had drug problems, they still had alcohol problems, they still had, and maybe they didn't have big challenges like that, but they were they really wanted to do something, but they were afraid they couldn't do it, or maybe they thought they were too old, or they weren't enough, or they just weren't tapping into that power. And so my tagline is, I bring out your best and then some, because I think everybody has an and then some. They just don't realize that they have an and then some. And once you find that and then some, there's always more. There's always more, because that's who we are. So my desire was to help Christians back then, and I did for a long time in the job that I had. But when I came out of that, I just kind of got somewhere else. So about 6 months ago, I thought, I really need to focus on Christian professionals. I just do, because I really believe that they have so much more. And I mean, you have the Holy Spirit who lives in with you, who
Right.
has, there's so much power, so much power. And we just don't use it. And so so I started a Facebook group called Breakthrough Leadership Academy, and that is for Christian professionals. If you're not a professional, it's okay, you can join, but it's private, so you have to kind of ask to be invited and answer the questions. And I put a lot of videos and different kinds of things. Yay, there it is. Different kinds of things up there, information up there that is really going to be able to help you with maybe limiting beliefs that might be holding you back, or in some area of your life you might feel like you're stuck and you can't figure it out. There's going to be information in there, and of course you can always access me within that Breakthrough Leadership Academy. So yeah, and it's been really fun. It's not as big as I would like it to get, but it's getting there. So
Well, yeah, and that's one of the reasons that we have you on is because we wanted to help, let people know that there are resources out there that can help motivate them. And you are an inspiring example, to say the least. And
thank
I just
you.
want to, yeah, you're welcome. And I just want to say thank you for not retiring. I mean, seriously. And I think, and I don't want to, I don't want to, but I always do get a little bit into politics sometimes. But I've shared this story with probably hundreds of people, and many of I think I've shared it publicly on our podcast before. But we always talk about, not always, but a lot of us talk about retirement. This magic number, 65, 68, whatever the government made up. And quite a few years ago, one of our patients, who also happened to go to our church, she's a few years older than me, and her husband was being asked to retire. He worked in an industry that they made him retire when he was 55, actually an air traffic controller. And if you
Ooh,
knew this, yeah, right. I mean, I think back, and at the time I was probably 35. And so I was thinking, 55 is not old, but it's getting there, right? Well, now that I'm 51, I know that 55 is not old. And by the way, at the time, I knew him. He was, I still know him, and he was extremely healthy. I mean, a very healthy 55-year-old, right? And so he was being made to retire. And she said, I said, so what's he going to do with all his time? She said, hey, look, I told him, I said, he's not going to sit around and do nothing. Of course, he never would. He never
yeah,
would have.
yeah.
Then she told me, she says, retirement is not biblical. She said, when you look at how God designed us, read Genesis, he gave, God gave the animals and the earth to Adam to take care of.
Hmm.
He was never meant to do nothing. And
Hmm.
when you look at the word retirement, it's literally, Jan, it's a little over a century old. It was in the early 1900s when people started talking about retirement, and largely it was, in my opinion, it was a word created by governments, progressive governments, so they could plan a system where you would pay into it, i.e. Social Security, and the United States was not the first one. It was European countries
Mm,
where you'll pay into a system and then you'll have money when you retire. We'll take care of you when you retire. And that's not biblical at all. And when you look at, even my grandparents or great grandparents, especially in an agriculture type community, farmers never retired. 100 years ago, farmers never retired. They might not be working as hard when they were 80 as
yeah.
they did when they were 30. But Janet has an uncle. He's like 90. He still drives combine in the summer, and he still goes on and works in the farm. Does he
Yeah.
work as hard? Probably not. But
Mhm.
he's happy doing it. And we look at our lives and we say, I can't wait till I turn 65. I have friends in the pharmacy profession, and they've got their days numbered when they can retire. And they ask me, it's like, Shawn, when are you going to retire? I'm like, dude, I'm never going to retire. I love what I'm doing. I don't think retirement is biblical. I'm going to keep doing it forever. I
Mhm.
love helping people, and we're meant to
Mhm.
be productive in society. We are
Mhm.
really meant to do that. So, sorry, I went kind of on a tangent, but you were inspiring that you changed your career in your late 60s, and here you are in your 70s coaching people on motivation. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I think that God has given us things to steward, and one of them is right here, the body.
Yeah.
And I think that I need to steward that well. Okay, so I'm a hopeless addict when it comes to working out and when it comes to hiking. Yes, but it just gives me so much more energy. I have so much more to offer because I take care of myself. I can do anything with my kids. My son has a boat, and he doesn't have a ladder to get back up on the boat when you're out there water skiing. And so it's tricep work, man, to get back up on that boat. And I was
You had to
in
push
that
yourself.
boat with another mom who was quite a bit younger than me, and they had to drag her up on the back because she couldn't do it. I was like, well, but that's who I am. I'm
Well,
gonna,
it's inspirational. And so I say, thank you. And you're right. There's no reason we really shouldn't be healthy when we're 70 years old.
right.
We should take care of our bodies like they're made to take care of, eat right, exercise, move, sleep right, and we can have healthy bodies when we're 70s. I know our traditional medical system does not want people to believe that, but
Mhm.
that's just absolutely not true. We can be healthy when we're 70, really healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a gal texting me last week, and she's 74 years old, and I've water skied with her, and she is literally a world champion water skier. Amazing. I will never be as good as her. Um, and and the last part of her text was she's in Arizona right now, and she was asking me some health questions about her cholesterol and stuff because she saw one of our podcasts on cholesterol. And I mean, it doesn't. I told her, I said, it doesn't really. Her cholesterol numbers are great, by the way. She just needed some confirmation, but that's not what the medical doctor said. They said that she has high cholesterol. I'm like, look, you know, look at you. I mean, anybody can tell you're healthy. You don't need some lab test to say that. And at the end of her text, she said, "Oh, just to let you know, I'm down here in Arizona, and I just won the pickleball championship yesterday."
I
I
love
love
it.
it. Yeah, right. And I wasn't surprised. I'm like, nah, I'm not surprised that you did that. So, where some people when they're 74 years old, they're limping around, they're using a walker, they're going to, healthcare appointments every day. And you know what? I think largely that's self-induced. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. If we have the right mindset, like you talk about,
Mhm.
um, and we take care of our bodies, there's no reason that we can't be super healthy
Right.
into our 70s.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know you agree with
And
me. Look
and
at
my
you.
my cholesterol's a little bit up, and my doc was like, "Well, we can medicate that." I'm like, "Nope.
Yep.
I'm going
Nope.
to take the sugar and I'm going to take the carbs out, and you watch that thing plummet."
And my guess is, Jan, your HDL, your good cholesterol,
Yes.
is really good. It's high.
Yes.
Yep. And my guess is your triglycerides are really low.
I
If you
can't
remember.
remember, but
Yeah.
I just wasn't going to take the medication. It's just that's not me.
Yeah.
I'll fix
Right.
it by what goes into my body. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
Mhm.
I think you made the right choice. So,
Yeah.
Jan, as we wind this podcast up, what is something you have a passion for?
I have a passion for setting people free from limiting beliefs, obviously. I mean, if there's something that you think you can't do, or something that is holding you back from reaching your full potential, and especially all that you can be in Christ, oh, that's my desire, is to help people with that. And I love to do that through individual coaching, or I have classes that I run online. Like I said, I'm doing one right now called Self-Image Mastery, and that's a group coaching class where I teach a little bit and then we share, and I teach a little bit. So that's my, and then also for organizations who may not think leadership development is important. Oh, let me change your mind.
Yeah,
So those
absolutely.
are my
Absolutely.
two desires.
Awesome. Love it. So Jan, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
I would say probably Facebook, or I'm going to go out on a limb, and
We lost.
you can reach me.
Okay, cool. We lost your audio.
Yeah, I'm losing your audio a little bit. Jan at jan-mcdonald.com.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah.
Okay, Jan at jan.mcdonald.com. Say that one more time.
Jan at jan-mcdonald.com. That's my email.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh,
And there's your personal Facebook page. So I so appreciate, yeah, there you are. I so appreciate you being on today, Jan. You are definitely an inspiration, and you have realized our goal at Health Solutions and the goal is to educate and empower individuals to take charge of their own health. And I think you have helped inspire that. So thank you so much, Jan, for being on. And our podcast Thursday, our midweek podcast, do not miss out. Rob Wolf will be on. We've had him on before, and he's going to be talking about circadian rhythm, but also about circadian rhythm and how eating and how sleep and how exercise around the circadian rhythm is so important with our health. But we are also going to talk about his most recent experience on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was interviewed with regarding his book Sacred Cow on the Joe Rogan podcast. So we're going to be talking about that, because we'll be talking about fake meat. Also, there's a big push towards fake meat, and it's just what it is. It's fake meat. Don't eat it. It doesn't rot. Don't eat it. We say that often. So you don't want to miss out. For Rob Wolf, we'll be streaming live 8 to 9 a.m. my personal Facebook page, Shawn Needham's Facebook page, and the Mosley Professional Pharmacy Facebook page, and the Mosley Professional Pharmacy YouTube site. So don't miss out. Jan, thank you for being on. Listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in. Health Solutions with Shawn. You're welcome. Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Thank you for listening.